Welcome. As always, please let us know in the chat whereabouts you're joining from. Always nice to hear where folks are calling in from. Let us know if it's morning, afternoon, or evening as well. We have people spread around all of the world on our team and in our customer base. Okay, folks, let's get our screen share set up now. Okay, I think we have enough people here to get going. I'm sure a few more will trickle through, but I'll get started now. So welcome everyone to today's town hall. Great to have you all here. As always, I'll just kick off with some of my usual updates. So we are live streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you have any issues with Zoom, it kicks you out, anything like that, you can just head over to our YouTube page and you'll see us live streaming there. So that's an easy way to kind of stay up to date if you do get disconnected. As always, we'll kick things off with company and product updates. We have Andrew, Pierre, and Emily giving us some updates today. And then at the end of the session, we'll do some Q&A from the audience. As always, please try to use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of the screen to provide us your questions rather than the chat. The chat's kind of just more of a nice back and forth for letting us know where you are. The Q&A is better for letting us keep track of all those questions. And then finally, at the end, when we do ask people to come on stage, ask their questions, you can use the reaction button at the bottom to raise your hand. And with that, I'm going to hand over to PC to take it away.
Hello, everyone. And now we have a big fancy disclaimer. So actually, I think, Miles, you prepared the actual thing that needs to be said out loud. I need to copy that over. Shit, I don't have it. So anyway, we've basically reached a very significant milestone last week. And we felt it was now important to basically say it's not financial, business, investment, tax, or life advice. And obviously, we're making statements in the context of this meeting that could be, reflect on our vision of the future. And unfortunately, life may happen a bit differently. So please use a grain of salt whenever we're talking about that. And now I can talk about the host token, which basically has achieved a particular milestone last 2 weeks when we were live on a town hall. A token is now increased value by 32% since the launch to reach 6.62. But more importantly, we have passed $1 million, more than actually close to $1,030,000 raised from customers to represent together an equity stake of 5% of Hospitable. It's not 5% today, it's 5% at the moment where Hospitable is going to exit, be acquired, or going public. So it's not happening exactly tomorrow. But I want to say thank you to Steve, to Derek, who basically contributed in that last batch. Steve for a very significant investment again, and Derek, I think, for third, fourth investment. I'm not counting at this point, but this is one thing that we can do actually among investors. Just start small and just basically, if you like the direction where the company is going, keep on investing a little bit. Obviously, some reminders for legal qualification is on the next slide. This investment opportunity is reserved for US persons to accredited investors. So that means you need to have $1 million outside of your primary home, or between $2,000 or $3,000 worth of income on a yearly basis, etc. And you need to basically evidence that by a third party. For everywhere else, if you're not a US person, that means you're not a tax resident in the US, then that opportunity is available to you under less. You don't need to have an accreditation verification letter is what I mean. If you have any questions about this, you can send an email to invest@hospitable.com, and you can go and check that on our website. I've provided a bit of an update in recent days. You can go check out on invest.hospitable.com or scan the QR code that you have right there. Now, some things that I wanted to share with you are basically on some numbers. So congratulations to you first. Together, all our 11,700 customers of Hospitable have been paid by OTAs and sometimes also Hospitable on the direct product bookings. $187,746,000. So $1,000. Congratulations. So for a very busy August, and that was spread over the next 64,000 listings that were active for the month of August. Miles, you can switch kindly to the next one. So that's the number of listings that have been active. That means there was at least one check-in in those properties. So those are just two metrics that I love to report on. When you are going to be on our investor on invest.hospitable.com and you verified and you are qualified to be investing, you're going to be able to see now on the investor overview a link towards an investor dashboard. And I just provide a copy that is blurred out, not because any of that is particularly secret, but actually because I want to motivate you to go check it out and basically qualify for this investment. So you will be able to see obviously a monthly recurring revenue, headcount, NPS, more metrics related with Direct, for example, and hopefully more soon on Connect, which is our industry-leading product that we would love to be talking about one day. Emily, I don't know when we're talking about that next time, but we need to basically take some time to explain what a hospitable flywheel looks like. So go check on invest.hospitable.com, pass the KYC ML. If you are a US person, provide your accredited investor verification letter, and then you'll be able to have access to all the business metrics updated in real time, or as close to real as we can make it. So that's interesting for you. I actually will leave a lot to other people to talk about because that's actually what's important. But I just wanted to give two highlights before I do that. First thing is watch out on our social media on September 12th. We're going to be spreading a bit of news that honestly, it's very hard not to share because we're super excited about it. There's nothing frightening and there's a lot of vanity about it. So self-vanity, but also a lot of appreciation for our customers to be reaching this milestone, I want to say again. So watch out on September 12th to basically check on our social media because we'll be sharing some good news. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is something that we are preparing behind the scenes. We're preparing, honestly, the most epic booth exhibition events that we have ever thought about at VRMA. So it's happening in 47 days. I would love to know if you're basically going to be around and showing up. I think we want to spoil you a little bit. So you'll be having first of all, some gifts that are not the usual type that we have seen in this event. And if you go to the beach party organized by our friends at Cassiola, who have a gigantic presence over in the Orlando area, we'll be able to provide you how can I say that? A stellar experience, basically, that's going to make you feel very happy. To be associated with our company, our product, and obviously being a fantastic host in the industry. So I'll be flying there to be amazing. And yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. September 12th, keep that date on your agenda. 47 days, please book your tickets. We will actually do a giveaway. We will have 5 tickets to share with our customers over on social media. So again, stay tuned. This is going to be happening at some time soon, but on an open, I don't know, obviously Miles knows everything about it, but just follow our social media right now. You can look us up everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, X. I don't know what the cool kids say anymore. And you'll be first in line to hear about it. Thank you. And now we have some updates here on a small product called Direct.
Yes. And no, that September 12th is not about Google vacation rentals. Sorry. It might happen on September 12th. We don't know at this point. This kills me, but we're not there yet. We've had our second surprise since trying to roll this out. The first one being that the required Google Ads account we're supposed to have was flagged for fraud. We just created it. And last week we got told that the URLs we were using for our property images were flagged for spam by Google. I don't know what's against us. It feels like a Murphy's Law kind of thing. We got that fixed. So you can see the latest data here. We got about 1,340 of your properties that you guys have scoped for Google. 81% of them now, they say, are okay. Once we get that back up to 100, we can start that pricing audit again. We believe the pricing is good. We need 3 days of good data. I'm not going to make predictions anymore, but we're close. We got an email just before this town hall started from Google saying everything is good with the image URLs. So there are, no blockers at the moment that we know of. Next slide, please. Better news. Okay, adjustments for ad hoc refunds. This is live, but we're still smoke testing it. We're trying to get it live for the town hall. A bit of a vanity launch, but it's not revealed for everyone yet. So we're going to smoke test this, roll it out to everybody hopefully tomorrow. But this has been available for direct basic hosts. You could issue refunds. Now it's going to be for direct premium as well. So we've had a lot of hosts tell us we need to be able to like just return $100 to a guest. You will be able to do that as of tomorrow, hopefully at the latest Friday. No problems there. So that's exciting. The next step with that is ad hoc payments, so you can request the guest to pay more. Otherwise, we launched a new payout history page. Premium hosts are seeing that now. It's going to give you better visibility as you make these adjustments, so you can see the impact on your payout and kind of just overall track your performance. We're revealing more information. You can see, track your reservations by property. It links back now to the inbox, so you can check up on the reservation while you're looking at payout history, etc. Lots of improvements there. That's going to roll out to Direct Basic hopefully tomorrow as well. So Direct Basic will have the new page as well. And then we've launched the new plan selection. So that's mostly probably for people that aren't on this town hall, but we made it for new users that haven't started with Direct yet. We now make geographic specific plans. So if you are in an area that's supported by premium, we'll suggest premium. If you're in an area supported by not supported by premium, we'll suggest basic, which requires a Stripe account. And then we have the new version Lite for people that are in an area where they can't get a payment processor that's supported by us yet. That's the Direct Lite. And then what else launched? Stripe Link. So all the Direct Basic hosts, you now have an accelerated checkout provided by Stripe. So we're going to monitor that and see how that helps with conversions. But it just got a little bit easier for your customers when they're checking out with Stripe. And we did have an issue. Just wanted to highlight that I think some operations teams for some direct and manual bookings were not always getting a notification. That bug has been fixed. So good news on that front for anyone that saw that impact. Otherwise, what the team is working on, like I said, ad hoc fees is next. So we're going to have pay by link working for both Stripe and the premium customers. So you'll be able to send a payment request to your guests. The big one, multi-property search. So Aaron is working on that. We've actually been talking to some of our partners and just getting feedback on the best way to implement that. And those of you that have a bunch of properties and have a direct site that doesn't allow searching availability across all of them at one time, we know that's a requirement, and we're working on that now. And then, a decent update on Direct Premium Canada and the UK. We talked to our payment processor this morning. They had an expert actually join the call from the platforms team that told us it's not as complicated as we were told originally. And it'll actually be a lot faster for us to expand Direct Premium now. We actually don't need the local entities registered in each area where we are merchant of record for Direct Premium. We can just plow through those now. So we're going to do a little bit of homework on our side, make sure we're getting our tax compliance right in each of those areas, but be looking to an accelerated rollout for Direct Premium Canada and the UK. We're hoping to have that in a matter of weeks. Otherwise, new direct tab in the property section. So if you've looked in property, we have like one direct element in there now. It's just the booking widget. And that's actually like soon to be a legacy booking widget for us. We're going to replace that with a lot of direct content. So you can look at the property level and get your cancellation policy for the property, get your payout method for the property, get your links for the different site pages, the different widgets, as well as for Direct Premium customers, see all of your tax liability at the property level. So I think that'll help people having good visibility on Direct. That's what we're working on now. And then what's coming up? Those of you that are not using payment processing but created a site before we had it, that is coming to an end. You should have received a couple emails. If you are a US or Australia host where we have premium, we are going to ask you to make a decision. Either go ahead and start using payment processing so you can experience the full product of Direct, or we're going to unpublish your site. It's slowing us down too much to keep up with this like non-payment processing request to book. And it's not a great UX. We've talked about that before. Happy to talk about it more in Q&A if you still have questions. And then the next process with that, like I alluded to earlier, legacy widgets. We do have a new version of the widget. It allows you to skin new color schemes on it, so it'll match your custom site better. We will eventually end of life those as well. So you'll get communication from us regarding that coming up. And then, the big feature requests that have highlighted on previous town halls, quotes, scheduled payments, and midterm stay improvements. Those are all kind of next to the roadmap for us. And we recently talked to AutoHost, and we're going to have a nice big update for the amount of the guest profile you can see in our inbox. So right now you can't see the guest ID. That's a big one because sometimes AutoHost will flag for you as a direct premium host and say, hey, the selfie photo didn't match the ID, and you don't have access to those photos right now. We've been working with AutoHost for quite a few months now to make that happen, and they've got kind of a working MVP right now. So we're going to work with them on implementing that, and that should be hopefully several weeks before, only several weeks away. And we'll have guest IDs in the inbox. You'll be able to download those for those of you that need them for compliance purposes in your own area. That'll be a nice big improvement. And with that, I think I can pass to Emily.
Cool. Hey, everybody. All right, I'll start with the usual smart lock updates. The first thing, our Schlage migration is done, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore, which is really good news. Now I'll just dive into what's happening in the future and a couple things we've fixed in the past couple of weeks. So first, we had an issue where when you were altering a reservation, especially changing the check-in or checkout times for a manual or direct booking, sometimes that wasn't properly updating on the lock. So thank you guys for reporting that. We have resolved it. So that's working now and is all good. If you see any more instances of that, please do let us know so we can keep looking into it. Also, for those of you using remote lock, we're now showing the account connection status on that integration. So you can see the health of that connection in real time, whether it's connected or disconnected, as well as better error messages around when we can't import a device for any reason or for some reason. So we were seeing some instances where we couldn't import a certain lock because it was already connected to another Hospitable account. Maybe this is a former property manager you used and now you took it on with yourself. And we didn't have a lot of transparency with why there was an issue there. So we've identified those errors and are giving you better messages so you know what's wrong and can work to figure out why you can't get certain locks in yourself. And last, we fixed an issue where the code wasn't always matching the last 4 digits of the phone number, even when that phone number was available. So that's resolved, but this makes for a really good time to remind you all of something important. While we do have a setting that allows you to set the code to the last 4 digits of the guest phone number, there are some times when we won't be able to do that for a variety of reasons. It could be that that same exact code already exists on the lock. It would be coincidence, but it could happen. Or it could be that we can't fetch that phone number for any reason. Point is, we can't, with 100% accuracy, guarantee that we're always going to set the lock to the last 4 digits of the guest phone number, even when we try. So with that in mind, I want to make sure that everybody knows in your short codes, use the smartlock_code short code when communicating codes to your guest. Don't use the last 4 short code to mean a smart lock short code, because if we can't grab that last 4 digits of the phone number, we'll set a different code. And we want to make sure the guest is receiving the right code and not just getting their phone number spit back at them if that's not what the code ends up being. So yeah, reminder, check your messaging rules, use the smartlock_code short code in your messaging rules to communicate the short code. Next, a couple more smart lock updates. We are looking for more hosts who use Nuki and Igloo locks for our private pilot. So in the chat, message to host and panelists, reach out if you'd like to be a part of this private pilot and you are currently already using Nuki or Igloo Home smart locks. We'll reach out to you this week to include you in the pilot, which will mean you get early access to this integration, get to control those smart lock codes from your Hospitable account, and give us feedback so we can improve it before we release it to our general audience. Next, all right, some core updates. Let's start with channel connectivity improvements. We've been talking a lot about Booking.com. Lauren, I saw your message in the chat looking for a Booking.com messaging API update. We're working on it now. So that's good news. We finished the API upgrade that was required, and our current focus is implementing the Booking.com messaging API. We're in the middle of the certification process with Booking.com, which we don't expect to take more than a couple of days. And when they give us the thumbs up, we'll be able to roll this out. This is going to mean that you will no longer have issues sending or receiving messages through Booking.com. That should be resolved with us implementing this API. So that's been an issue that's been present for a couple of months, and we're very excited to put that one to bed. Next, that's going to allow us to improve the experience with the connection flow. This probably isn't going to benefit many of you who are already connected to booking.com. But if you remember, and you probably do, connecting with booking.com is tough. There were a lot of questions we needed to ask, and it was just pretty cumbersome. By upgrading the API and implementing the new messaging API, as well as supporting other rate plans, which we're looking at doing, including occupancy-based pricing, we're going to be able to take a fresh look at the connection flow so that when you go to connect your booking.com account to Hospitable, it's as simple as a couple of clicks and not much else. So we're looking forward to improving that next after the messaging API upgrade is done. And quick update on Vrbo connectivity. So we had kind of wrapped up this project several weeks ago and hadn't really talked about it much more because we were done. But I want to point out that this past week, we actually survived a round of forced disconnects from Vrbo. This is something that happens every couple of months that we can't prevent because Vrbo does this as a part of their regular security sweeps, if you will. And we saw a lot of accounts disconnected, but we had a lot more success reconnecting those accounts without you needing to know about it. So we fixed issues where the disconnection banner wasn't clearing after we were reconnected. So in some cases, you were told it was disconnected, but you weren't. So sorry about that, because that was kind of like a false alarm, not really a fire you needed to attend to. And the next piece is we've waited to send you the notification that you're disconnected until we've actually tried to reconnect you again. In most cases, we're able to do that. And so we don't bother you with that information. Pierre, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something because you remember, obviously, you are the one that flagged the entire team about it. We didn't see a dashboard or there was an alert on our incident Slack channel. It just your account was disconnected. And then what happened? You received an email notification that your Vrbo account was disconnected.
Yeah, so I received the email notification because my account couldn't get reconnected on the second attempt, but it was eventually reconnected on its own on a future attempt. So while I did receive the notification, it eventually ended up reconnecting without me doing anything, which was really nice. And I think it was like 5:30 in the morning. So most of that happened while all the rest of you were still sleeping.
Yeah.
And it just happened and was fixed. So that was really great.
So yeah, and the thing that we need to improve is obviously telling you when we're reconnecting their account successfully, because otherwise you just receive an email that seems bogus to you about the fact that you were disconnected. So that's going to be for the next row of improvement. But thank you to Costin behind the scenes, whose work has been very helpful on that. And everyone in the team, really, but Costin, I'm going to praise him.
Yep, we should all praise Costin. Awesome. Okay, cool. Pierre's bowing down over there. Okay, next slide, just a couple more improvements. We've talked about the color-coded calendar. That was something that at our last town hall was still an option for you to opt into. We've had overwhelmingly positive response, so we went ahead and just made that everyone's default. Your reservations are now color-coded based on the booking platform. A lot of people have asked us why Airbnb isn't pink, and you'll just have to trust us. It looked terrible. So we've used their secondary color, which is more of a teal. And you can more easily identify what platform that booking is coming from. We've also, so there's a little bit of confusion around this. We have review rules, and we previously had the two options for when to send reviews after a guest checks out. One option was immediately, and the other option was send at X amount of days. You could set it. We removed the immediately option, and that's because it was pretty confusing because even we don't have the option to review immediately after checkout. So a lot of host expectations were that the guest checks out at 10 a.m. and we immediately send that review, even though we can't actually send it for later on that day, sometime within the next day. We remove that option. You still have the the opportunity to set when you want it to send in days. And we'll probably revisit that at some point so that you can set it in minutes or hours if you do want to send it really quickly after we have the opportunity. But in the meantime, to alleviate some of the confusion around that, we removed the immediately option because it wasn't working as anyone expected. And up next, we have been really focused on a couple of really big changes that are coming soon. So the past couple of town halls, we've shared some improvements and some fixes, but haven't really announced like a big thing that we've been doing. And that's been because we're working on it now. So metrics is actually in progress now. So this is something that's been designed for a while, has been sitting there waiting for resources. We have those resources, and it is actually in development. Just a quick little teaser screenshot here of what the metrics will look like. It's really awesome. It has all those numbers you guys want. You can filter by properties. You can filter by a variety of different things. It's going to be really, really awesome. We've heard from a lot of you guys that every month you go to Airbnb, you go to Vrbo, you go to booking.com to pull numbers from them, or you've hacked together something with our CSV download using that and a combination of Zapier and other things, webhooks. That's all far too complicated. And our mission is to save you time. And this metrics dashboard is going to save a ton of time. So in progress, we'll keep you posted. It's a really big overhaul of the way that we store financial data on our end and then present it to you. So this isn't going to be something that you can expect to be ready by the next town hall, but I'll continue to give you updates as we get closer to releasing it. Next, after that, is parent-child, another thing you've all been asking about for a long time. We announced that we're focusing on that last week. We're getting closer to finalizing some of our design decisions there. Yesterday, I reached out to many of you who upvoted that on our Conflux, and I immediately got 10 million calls on my calendar to give feedback on the design. So thank you for that. I had a couple of those calls today. It's really helpful to hear from you guys what you think of the design we have so far, how you interpret it, if there's any confusion, so we can work to address that before we release it. So yeah, we're hoping to finalize some of those decisions this week and maybe get started on development next week. So we'll continue to update you there as well. And last but not least on the up next board is a device dashboard coming soon. So this is something Alyssa is working really hard on. This is going to be a single dashboard that houses your smart lock devices, where you can quickly check on their health, their status, when it was last used, all that good stuff in a single place. So keep an eye out for that. We'll share some mock-ups and stuff to kind of tease that out in future town halls as well. And last but not least, we've got 3 new apps on our apps page this week. The first is Alertify. So Alertify monitors noise, smoke, and occupancy, and can notify you when any of those thresholds are exceeded, as well as send text messages to your guest, which is really helpful. Another is DPGO. That's another dynamic pricing tool that we're now supporting an integration with. So check that out if you need some dynamic pricing tool. And last but not least, Know Your Guest by Superhog will automatically send guest verification requests to guests who book any property that you have in Hospitable. We're adding new apps all the time. Again, add in the chat if you have another tool that you use that you'd love to see work with Hospitable, and we can reach out to them and see about building an integration so that you can kind of manage everything in one place. All right. That's all I got for today. Passing back to Miles for Q&A.
Cool. Thank you very much, Emily. I'm trying to stop sharing my screen. There we go. Okay. So as Emily said, it's time for Q&A. So if you haven't already asked your question in the chat and you're interested in asking it on stage, please use the reaction button at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand, and we will invite you on stage. Before we do invite people on stage, PC has his hand raised. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think there is a question that's currently in the Q&A, and I think Kevin is struggling. He's typing an answer. And we have the privilege of answering that once. So it's a question from Brandy. Are there plans for becoming a full partner with Vrbo so the rates update better and then disconnects don't happen? Kevin,
you're being recorded. You're being recorded.
So that tells you everything that there is to know about our feelings about this question, is that we are being recorded. We have active conversations with the Vrbo connectivity team. It's no secret that those conversations have been ongoing up and down for the past 2 years. We represent Hospitable 5% of all Vrbo listings. Again, let me frame that because it's mind-blowing to us when we actually run the numbers. 5% of listings currently live on Vrbo have been connected to Hospitable. And we believe that we have could have a significant voice about basically what an ideal integration would look like for Vrbo to lead the space, to lead the industry for short-term rental property owner, for self-managers, for hosts that do not usually qualify as property managers and need a fully bloated property manager software product. We've raised that voice. We want to be a force for good for the industry. What I want to say is that the deal with Verbo is the full package. It feels very much like entering into a marriage, and you have to take all the liabilities and all the bonus points, sure, but all the liabilities, and you can't quite ask a lot of questions about how it's going. It's, I think, a struggle for companies in the industry to be integrated with Verbo, and that is not specific to Hospitable. You can see in many alternatives and what the integration that they use, and especially there is a pattern that I've observed. If that product is using a free trial, giving a user a chance to experience the connectivity on their own, they don't integrate with Verbo in an official pattern. And I think there is a key insight there, but Andrew said I'm being recorded, so I have to be chilled about what I'm saying, is if you want to demonstrate value to your customers first, rather than relying on a salesperson being pushy, you need to use the existing integration that would say unofficial, mobile, native, etc. And actually we asked Verbo to come up with what is the term that is the best qualifier for the integration that a lot of actors in the industry. So much so, it's difficult to integrate with Verbo that one partner churned. And I think that's really unheard of. Of course, we're staying in touch with Booking.com, Airbnb integration, Verbo. We discovered that actually one of the integration that they launched this year actually stopped supporting that official integration. And this is a product that is basically working with the same persona, with the same property owners and hosts, and that we are focused on. So the idea that this would somehow improve your experience is something that we're advocating for with the Verbo team. We don't believe that we're there yet. We believe that there is a gigantic opportunity for Verbo to be, a responsible partner and at the same time moving forward. What we are very excited about is actually what nobody is excited about in the industry. It's everything about being a merchant of record for all your transactions. We actually are uniquely positioned in relation with our direct premium product and direct product in general to actually accommodate that and having the responsibility for owning all your content. The reality of it is that the calendar piece is pretty minor considering the very large extent of what it looks like. Our concerns are really about the possibility for Verbo to integrate with property owners and hosts that have 1, 2 properties, sometimes new, and they need to deliver a fantastic experience. Otherwise, we have that experience with another partner that we're integrating with, whose product is not up to standard for the outlook, especially from US-based customers, and that results in accelerated churn. That customers would be actually happier not integrating rather than basically trying to. That's a realistic expectation. So it's going to be a work. I'm probably going to justify being the CEO based on that particular project because it's a bit high stakes. But I believe that same as we did with Airbnb, we're going to be able to show that 85% of that industry doesn't need to work with an enterprise PMF that I'm referring to as a fully bloated suite of products that is actually a perfect fit. The 15% or the other percent are basically perfect fit for the Verbo integration. We are working for the 85%, and it's going to be very difficult for you to see the value based on simply rate updates, updating rates, and not having any disconnects. You will experience struggle to connect. Emily tried that with another competing product, it's still not connected, as far as I know. And yeah, I think the rates updates is the least of your concerns. Is getting paid. That's probably the biggest pain in relation to that process. So Isaac is asking a follow-up. So will Hospitable act as a merchant of record of the Verbo integration? That is part of the requirement for a PMS integration, PMS class integration with Verbo. Is that Verbo is no longer taking any liability in relation to the payments. And so that means the PMS need to facilitate a solution. Direct premium is exactly that we do for direct booking, and we control a lot of the flow. It would be also something that could be compatible with direct basic users. Basically, you get paid onto your Stripe account. Your Stripe account is the one charging your Verbo guest. For Verbo guest. For us, that represents a very, very significant opportunity, but your mileage may vary. For example, Verbo Expedia recently launched the One Key program, which is a loyalty program for going to Verbo, and that excludes PMS connected listings, where it's only restricted to the ones where to listings where Verbo is a merchant of record. So it's kind of multiple language. Yeah, it's a bit challenging to how can I say to see what their focus is like, especially when they want to integrate with us. So it's a very complex answer. So yeah, as Isaac is saying, I'm just wanting to make sure that we are not going to be required to be the merchant of record. That's the integration that we have, and that's why everyone in the industry that's running a product that's focused on property owners is using. And I think Verbo needs to take responsibility on this and improve their product one way or another to make sure that there is alignment with what the industry needs. Okay, thank you for the round. We can go back to actually people that have raised their hands.
We've lost them. You've scared them away.
So bad.
We did
I'm
a
sorry. I don't remember your name. I've
Fine.
seen you raising your hand. But yeah, thank you, Preston, for being brave.
There we go.
Oh
Hello, Preston.
And we're about to announce the IP support where people can get my WhatsApp directly to escalate things, and that's what happened. Like this, they hear me and just, oh fuck, no, I'm not talking to that guy. That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, people. Preston,
Hey,
how are you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
I don't know. I'll be crushed, but I will deal with it. How can I help you?
Go.
Can we help you?
Yeah. So a quick question on the multi-property. Sorry, I asked it in the Q&A. I just don't know if I got quite. I might have missed something. So when I'm setting up that, when I'm setting up that widget, will there be the ability for me to select? Hey, I only want these 4 properties to show up in this particular multi-property search, and then follow up on that would be the ability to have more than one multi-property search. And so the example for me is I've got some campsites. So I need my riverfront campsites to be searchable via one widget, and then my forest campsites to be searchable via a different widget. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's what I was getting to in my first answer is like, I think like an attribute would be what you would want for that. So like that's not like the initial release, right? Like we talked about in the Q&A. But then, like there's no reason we wouldn't allow you to have like has a pool as an attribute, right? For you, it would be, like riverfronts, camp versus your forest campgrounds. And then they could kind of filter the search based on that. But yeah, I think the way you were asking, it was kind of confusing for me. Like you could also have 2 separate sites. You can scope properties to sites, but I believe the multi-property search as it's being built right now would search all of the properties on the site unless we give them option to filter. And is a filter not what you're looking at then?
Well, the filter is what I'm more specifically talking about. The user attribute is great, like what you're talking about, like the way they can do it on Airbnb or where they can search for as pool type of thing. That's great on the user front end. I'm more saying when I as the host am setting up that widget to then embed in my my custom site, the ability to filter down on the back end and say like when I'm configuring it, because like right now the way I was setting up my direct site yesterday, and it was great. I just copied the embed code for each of my different properties and put it on the the website page for that. But when I was going to do my campsite ones, I would have had to had 4 different widgets there for each of my 4 different campsites.
Yeah, I think it could be possible for custom sites because we would have to scope, if you're doing a custom site, scope properties to your custom widget. So I'd like to say yes. I think that will be possible. I was going to say no earlier. I think you convinced me that it actually is possible.
Awesome, sweet.
Let's go with yes for now. Yep,
love it. Thanks, y'all.
Cool. Thank you very much, Preston. We have another person that's brave enough to follow up. Robert, welcome on stage.
Can you guys hear me?
Can indeed.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. So I'm sort of new to Hospitable, about 2 months, and I'm adding more and more properties into Hospitable as I can synchronize calendars and make sure everything comes over correctly between VRBO and Airbnb. My question is, I have a team member, Mark, and I'm trying to get him the ability to get the messages that come from Hospitable to me. And I talked to help via chat. They said, set up a email, using the app, do the email redirect forwarding. And I believe I did all of that. and it's still not getting sent to Mark. Is there an additional step I need to do other than set up the redirects using the email app?
Hey, Robert, Jen here on support team. So let me just make sure I understand. The issue is that messages aren't going to your guest, or that you're not getting messages from your guest?
The issue is messages coming out of Hospitable that come to me because I'm the account owner are not being copied or BCC'd to my team member, Mark. So he's not getting the message at the same time I get it. We live in 2 different states. It would be very helpful if he would get, I thought the purpose of the email redirecting was whatever came from Hospitable would go to my team member, Mark.
Got it. Okay, so you're trying to make sure Mark knows when we sent a message as well as you.
Yes.
Okay. I'll reach out to you directly about that and make sure that we're understanding your setup and what's going on there. So I'll shoot you a message after the town hall.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it.
Of course.
It may be a routing misconfiguration or something. So no problem. And to advocate for you here, Robert, I was recently on a demo with Vera on a call with someone with larger company, and their VAs were also expecting to be copied on every single email that Hospitable is sending, so including every single email and that is being received for messages from guests received by OTA. So whenever your Airbnb guest message you, that simply is not a feature that we have right now. So I'm curious, basically, especially if you can reply in the chat for other people, if you would like us to do something like that, because there may be a way for us to do so. I don't want to give any ATA or whether that will be worked on, because we have product people that are smart to protect us from doing those things. But yeah, I would love to hear. Basically, would like you VAs to be in copy of more emails that we are sending them, and also kind of users in general, and especially receiving messages directly from guests. If you would like us to send a copy directly over to your team members. So thank you for sharing that over in the chat. Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much. So I think we actually have Preston again. Hello, Preston.
Hey,
You're back.
sorry, another question. Hey, I work with a company called Beachbox. They have about 160 properties with y'all. I'm very pro-Hospitable, so I'm trying to convince them to move off of Lodgify for their direct bookings and just use direct with y'all now. A couple concerns that I know they've had in the past, and the reason why I haven't been able to convince them yet is, one, quotes. So being able to send quotes to guests. I know you mentioned that, but I might have missed the timeline for when quotes is coming out. And the second need that they have is the ability for guests to send payments in like up to 3 different times. So say for example, they have like a massive house that they rent out, and it's like a $20,000 reservation. They need the ability for the guest to send that in like 4 different payments.
Totally understood.
Something like that.
Yeah. Tell Beachbox to just take a breath. We're going to get there. So yeah, the roadmap for that we covered. So right now we're doing ad hoc refunds. Next is ad hoc payments. That'll probably take us to the end of next week. 18th, we should be starting on quotes. That should not be a big lift on our side to get quotes delivered. And as soon as we're done with quotes, we're on to what we call the midterm rental kind of large transaction optimizations, which includes deposits, payments, 30 days out, etc., scheduled payments for recurring. So if you're booking for longer than a month and you want to have recurring transactions, all of that's part of that what we're calling kind of midterm rentals. So all of that is on the very near-term roadmap.
Love it. Thanks, Phil. It's great.
Thank you. Miles, can I take one question from the Q&A live?
Cool.
So Steve was asking with Google Vacation Rentals, if you've got a custom site, what can you do? We've been trying to find an answer for that. We talked to some of the partners we work with on custom sites, and I don't think there is a great solution right now. We talked about a path to get there, as far as The blocker for us is that Google requires us to guarantee the reliability of your URL in case you change it. We need to know about that. We need to update Google. If your SSL certificate expires, we need to make sure we manage that as well. So when Google sends you a lead, they have a nice experience on your site. That's the blocker, right? And we can't do that with custom sites today. So we are working on this in the background. It's not going to be available from day one. So yes, your option is you can spin out another site if you're using a custom site on Hospitable. Doesn't cost you any time, doesn't cost you any money. Spin out the site and have that for Google Vacation Rentals for now. And we'll work with some of our partners and see if we can come up with a solution, but no guarantees yet if we're going to have that for custom sites.
Cool. Thank you very much, Andrew. Okay, next up we have Garrett. Welcoming you on stage, Garrett.
Hello. I just had a question in regards to locks. Is there plans to integrate with Nest Google locks?
Good question. I'll unmute myself for this. We would like to integrate with a lot of different locks. We've got a nice long list. I feel like this is a non-answer that maybe someone else can jump in on. I feel like there was something with Nest that we weren't actually able to do because it's Google. Is that the case, or?
Yeah, sorry, it's that. It's basically that specific lock is part of a very proprietary ecosystem. Turns out the integrator that we're using for a bunch of our locks like Yale, August, Schlag, now is actually a former Googler or Noogler, as they call themselves, and was working on that specific division. Yeah, specific relationships, obviously, with that team there. They still basically are struggling to get access to that integration. It's very high on their list. We would be very thrilled because obviously a lot of people see Nest, Yale, and go for Yale and integrate, and then are disappointed that their log doesn't show up. It's different architecture, different infrastructure that's being used for that specific brand of log. Yeah, Google is pretty proprietary, it seems, with that specific integration. That's the best I can tell you. Really, it's related with third parties talking to fourth parties.
Great, thank you very much. And it looks like Garrett's question is answered because he muted himself. Okay, so next up we have Anna. Anna, welcome on stage. I'm just going to nudge you to unmute, Anna, if you still wish to ask your question. No. Okay, I'm going to move on to someone else for now, and we'll come back if Anna still has the hand raised at the end. So next up, we have Eric. Hello, Eric.
Hello, sorry, mine's a piggyback on that last question with the Point Central integration. I know it's not on the roadmap. Is that a systematic blocker of it being different type of technology, or is there any kind of has that been looked into, or is that still just a pipe dream?
I'm not sure about Point Central. I haven't looked into that. Has anybody else on the team? Yeah, we can figure that out and let you know, but I'm not sure.
Tell me again, Point Central is not smart locks, it's basically access systems, right? Intercoms.
Yep, it's smart locks. Yeah, it is. It's smart locks and thermostats and cameras. Mainly I use it for the locks, and it's one of the only reasons I'm still stacking with a competitor of yours that starts with the H as well. They send the pin code.
Oh, it starts with H. Thank you very much for the clue. That's really helpful. My God, you would have been in conversations about brandings. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hostfully. I guess it's not a secret. There's many of us that stack.
And you would teach them. Why would you do that? They're great. Love them. Love their marketing.
It's the only reason I'm still stacking though is for the Point Central. Otherwise, I would love to be make our relationship exclusive.
Oh, you can still talk to other people. No, I need to stop there. I'm checking.
I think we can check with our integrator and that we're working with and see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Alisa, who is very shy, is saying that our integrator has a Google Nest integration in beta. So they are working on it. So it seems that it finally got some good connections. And we would love to obviously have a Nest Yale integration, but it's going to be a bit of a specific one. So yeah, no ETA, no communication whatsoever. If it's in beta, they have a good reason to keep it in beta. And after our experience with smart locks, we really want to make sure that everything is working very nicely. First and foremost. Yeah, I don't see Point Central on their list of devices yet. But again, they are very good and they had plenty of stuff. So yeah, Jermaine, we'd love to have an integration with Google NestGL soon.
Just can you put the Point Central website into the chat? I can check with our remote lock integrator as well, but I'm not seeing it with what I would consider to be the normal spelling of those words. So just in case.
Yeah, so Point Central is like a remote lock company. They handle the integrations with the Yale locks and the other. They have a hub that's a cellular that you put in your property. PMS sends the code to Point Central. Point Central sends it to the hub in the house that then sends it to the locks. So it's a remote lock similar, I believe.
Yeah, it's an integrator. No, it's a smart locks company. It's an integrator themselves. Okay, we're gonna check on that. There are a few integrators that also could have been on the roadmap. For now, really, the point I think strategically what we would like to have on smart locks is more brands of locks like Google NestGL, more different types of devices. That's why we said we wanted to have a device dashboard. It's not just smart locks. It's actually having access to thermostats, for example, because you are a lot to advocate for this. Working on other integrators, I think I'm gonna not touch that right now. I'm gonna let the engineering team, the product and engineering team work on that first. But thank you for escalating that to us.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much. So next up on stage we have Vinay. Hello.
Hello, Vinay.
Hello everyone. We have one property active in North Carolina at the moment, and we are in the process of activating our direct premium at the moment. So my question is basically, would you mind to walk us through what happens once we publish our listing? Will the marketing, meaning to get the traffic to our property, what does Hospitable takes any measures in terms of promoting the pages, things like that? Or
Not really. That's kind of the part we don't do, right? So with direct booking, the idea is that you own this channel. So Airbnb is obviously going to market Airbnb, and they're going to bring you a lot of bookings, which is great. But this is your channel. So the classic direct booking story is that you're going to remarket to your returning guest, try and get people to come back and stay and save some money when they book direct, right? And you get a richer payout when they book direct, right? We are going to help you if you want to publish that property on Google Vacation Rentals. As soon as that's available, that's going to send you a lot of leads. But otherwise, I'd encourage you to maybe find some content online. Like we've done some work with different partners on how to build your direct booking business. It's a pretty big topic. I think we've got maybe from our YouTube channel, you can find some links. It's about building a brand. It's about, finding a good domain, using social media well. Like you're the one that's actually going to drive the traffic for that site. And it can be a good channel for you. It's about kind of making, small incremental investments and building that brand and getting developing your own CRM. So you've got, your list of your customers that you're marketing to, using promo codes appropriately, all those kind of practices. It's a pretty big topic, but you can bite it off like piece by piece, right?
Got it. Thanks.
What I want to say,
Andrew.
Sorry, what I want to say as well is that Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, they're going to advertise on the fact that they have a very large supply. You're not in a situation whenever you're going to marketing for your own direct listing, you really need to focus on who are your customers, what amenities you're going to provide for them. We are going to help you with everything technical that we can achieve. So that's part of the Google Vacation Rental integration. That's really, I'm hoping will be coming very soon. That's also, for example, the fact that the listing name is the same as what you have on your Airbnb account. Actually, I was on a talk with Steve, who I think is the one that asked this question about Google Vacation Rentals earlier for custom websites with widgets. Steve actually used to be not exactly a very big advocate for going direct. Like, I'm going to compete with Airbnb and Booking.com marketing dollars. Those are literally the top advertisers. Booking.com is literally the top advertiser on Google AdWords. That the CEO of Booking.com used to have literally a CEO of Google on speed dial if there was any kind of thing, and the ad spend of Booking.com would have an impact on Google's share price. The reality of it is just Airbnb will show that supply. Guest visitors of Airbnb, we search for the listing name, and then they land on the direct booking website. And that really is how Steve was saying you can get one direct booking per week. And Steve, I think, can share in the chat. Steve's properties are really not the kind that is affordable. He's really going after a persona that would go to a very fancy, very high-end hotels. So also the argument on price sensitivity was not really present. So there are a lot of technical things that need to be done to direct over your traffic to your direct booking website. And that's really, for example, simply relying on search engine like Google to show your direct booking website there. But the marketing for that direct booking website for your properties online is better done by you, because you know who are the guests, what is your persona, who are the guests that will be the most satisfied. And that's part of the deal. That's why it's a private OTA. We actually take a cut on facilitating the payments and taking a lot of responsibility for everything that we can help. But the marketing, it has to be your voice. It has to be your brand. Thank you for that, Miles. Going back to you.
Great. You've left it with me, but there's no one with hands raised at the moment. So I'm just going to add in some filler here. Any Q&A that we can pull out, perhaps?
There's plenty of questions. So we have integration with Lockly. We have requests to work with thermostats. I think that's all the general direction where we want to go with IoT. Now, we want to really make sure, first of all, that we have a very reliable solution on smart locks. And we're really, I think, for this quarter, going to be achieving 99% success. And I think we're going to go to several rows of additional nines for the reliability for smart locks access code. And I know there's been a bit of trauma over the past few months. Now, really, we have a partner that can work with us, that will escalate issues. And we're going to work on regaining that trust. You can go back to the seminar, the bit of a webinar that we had a few weeks ago with Chris and with Alyssa to basically go through all the questions that you had about smart locks and basically what that migration of vendors mean for us. Anyone else wanted to share something? I need to distribute, delegate.
No.
Well, that's why you let me talk. Vinay is raising his hand, I think, again.
Sorry, Vinay.
Vinay, go ahead. Come back to us.
You can close us out, Vinay.
Close it out. Yeah, you can give the last words, if I allow you.
Hello, Vinay. Maybe an accidental hand raise.
Once? Is that an accident? Vinay, you're live with us? Vinay asked a question in Q&A. Is there a plan to allow customization on the direct page, especially in terms of fonts and colors? So even though Vinay has not unmuted himself and it may have been an accident, Andrew, what about more fonts and more colors?
In theory, sure. At the moment, you've got 11 different templates. We do make most of the choices for you on that. But yeah, there is a roadmap that turns over actually like more of an editor itself. So you could be adding your own pages to your sites. You could be changing, having really almost full control over your templates. That's not on the near-term roadmap now. So yeah, you can see I'm kind of struggling to talk about specifics for it, but there is a path there. And eventually, yes, we will be doing a lot more with sites than we're doing today.
Yeah. Exactly. And we also had a call with our partner, Boostly, to basically we can help them design those custom-made websites. On the subject of custom websites, Steve is back again. Hello, Steve. You owe me a message. One more on Google Vacation Rentals. Do you have to use a Hospitable direct site, or you can use a custom domain when publishing your site? I think it's a matter of the commitments, the requirements that we have to meet with Google. I think that's ultimately the context there. That we're liable, and the entire inventory is liable about the uptime, quality.
We need to know the URL for each property page, though.
Yeah, for each property page.
Yeah, which we know. I'm struggling to.
We don't have to use Hospitable direct site. The thing is, we are liable, and the entire inventory is liable if the website is down. If there is any kind of content that's not basically approved by Google,
it degrades our entire account.
Yeah, exactly. And so we would prefer to create a one ad hoc landing page, redirecting then later over to your website, if that's an option, rather than basically asking you to provide a link to each and every single one property, which basically would give us information, but then still doesn't answer the question. I saw commitment is that if something happens and your website is down for a few hours, that may actually trigger something on the entire inventory. So far it's 1,000 listings. Near future, it may be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of listings distributed to Google Vacation Rentals. So we want to make sure that we are not exposing ourselves to that.
Steve's actually raised his hand, so I don't know if we want to just.
Let's have Steve. Let's have Steve.
Contribute.
Hello again.
Hello again. How are you?
Doing great. What about you?
Good, thank you. And I did send you a note back in Slack. I'll get back to you later. Anyway, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I understood that. So I was just in the background setting up like the direct page, so it would come up on Google Vacation Rentals. And just to make sure that I understood what you said and you understood what my question was, if I go into Hospitable and set up direct, I can map it to my own custom domain. It seems like that would defeat the purpose of what you're trying to say with Google Vacation Rentals. So don't map it to my own custom domain, correct? Just use yours as almost like use your page. Is that correct? Because I don't want to mess it up. It's not clear to me what. It's not clear.
Yeah, I'm actually not 100% clear either, so I'm afraid to say I need to
That's
check.
fine.
And I'll get back to you. Yeah.
Okay. We need to work on that, and it's definitely has been a blocker for Google Vacation Rental that was escalated.
And it makes sense from what you guys are saying that you'd want to be hosting it. You don't want me changing my DNS and repointing it to me, because then you can't meet Google's requirements. So I think you just, whatever it is, let me know. And I think just everybody would need to be really clear to get them over to Google Vacation Rentals. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. I think that's probably time to call it time. Yeah, if you've got any closing words for us before we end things off.
Yeah, I don't have any. Kevin, is there any last words, any parting words that you would like to share with this beautiful audience on our side? No?
No. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And I love the feedback. I love the engagement. And I'm a fan as well. So I'm right there with you guys.
I would advertise for your podcast. Kevin, go ahead, advertise for your podcast. You can do it.
I appreciate it. PC. I do have a small podcast where I help Airbnb hosts become B&B professionals, and it's called The B&B Professional. So you guys can Google it and it'll pop up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Kevin. See, I'm helping you with the marketing. I said I would earn my right to be a guest on your podcast. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you for all your questions, and see you in 2 weeks, same time, same place, and hopefully with a bit of an industry rundown. Bye-bye.